fight fans, George Hansen, the Pope of Pugilism. We have a great one for you today. We have the man, the myth, the legend himself, 7 times Philadelphia Cut Man of the Year, Joey Intrieri. How you doing, Joey?
Good, I'm doing great. In all this mess, I guess I'm hanging in there just like everybody else.
My brother, you're an interesting character, an interesting person. Now, a lot of people don't know you are 100% Italian, or as some of my Italian friends say, Italian.
That's right, yeah.
Right from the old country, Joey. You came from the old country to the U.S. Talk to me
from
about
Sicily, it. Yes. I was adopted here, but I was, story goes, my real mother was only about 14. My real father was like 35. It was all kind of hushed up, and I don't know whether I was on a boat, a plane, or whatever. However, but I got here, and I spent some time in an orphanage, and was right in Philadelphia, St. Vincent's Orphanage, and I was adopted and raised by my family, whose name that I have, Intrieri, and from there, that's where it came from. But my family that raised me was Italian, so I learned this from them, and so wherever I was born or who raised me, it was Italian, and I'm just an Italian boy from Philly.
Okay, but you really from the old country?
Yes. Yeah.
Straight from the old country. Now,
right from Palermo. Yes.
Talk to me about how you got involved in boxing, because you were actually in the first Rocky movie, jogging with Sylvester Stallone.
Second Rocky movie, second one, the second movie. Yeah, well, I got into it. I grew up in the North Philly in rough section called Aliano, which today is the most diverse section in the whole city. But at the time when I was coming up, it was mostly Irish and German, and they didn't know what the hell an Italian was, to be honest with you. So, I got a lot of bullying, I got a lot of, as they say today, racist comments and fights, and and having curly hair and not looking the same as everybody else, kind of felt a little put off. But and I would, like I said, I'd get in a lot of fights. If I didn't get in 2 fights a day, going to school and coming from school, if I only got one, it was a good day. But I was always getting my butt kicked. And I had a friend who was he was also a little guy, and he had been training at a gym. And the big kids would make him beat me up every day to practice his boxing. They thought that was fun. So we'd be walking home, and I'm all lumped up, and he'd bug me to go to the gym. And I'm thinking, why would I go to the gym? I'm going to get beat up there too. And he kept bugging me. And even my father had suggested, maybe why don't you go to the gym? You can learn how to defend yourself, And I just kind of blew it off. And then they came to my school, the movie production company for Rocky 2, and they were looking for kids who were the athletes. So I ran track. So right away I got picked, and I was like, sure, I'd love to do that. I love Rocky. And at that age, I was about 9, almost 10. I thought Rocky was real. I don't know. So got to run with him, and we ran all day long down the Parkway, all the way up the art museum steps, up and down, must have been 1,000 times till it got dark. And everybody wanted to get there first, but I got those perfect little legs to run those 72 steps. So, people were falling, and I get right up top, and I got there so many times, like first, and I got right up to him at one point, and I was like pressed right up against him. Everybody's around us, and he just reached down, picked me up, put me on his shoulders. And, he was like, hey, how you doing? And I just was like, it probably put me down because I probably peed on him. I was so excited, But so I ran home the next day. Even after all that running, I still ran home and made my father take me to the gym the following day. And we, from there, I started out at Kensington Ramblers Boxing Club with guys like, Brian McGinley and Anthony Boyle. Anthony Boyle was, his father was my first trainer. And from there, yeah, and from there it just I even always have a good story of where I remember that I actually sparred the first day I ever walked in the gym. And yeah, they would pair you off at the end of the night after you did your workout. And first night, and kid from my neighborhood who was like bigger, he's acting like a tough guy. They said, "Oh, who wants to spar with who?" And he goes, "Oh, I want to spar with Joey." And they went, "Oh, wait a minute, it's his first night." And I was so scared, probably just nervous that I didn't want to look like a punk, And I said, "Sure." And I don't know what I did. I couldn't tell you what punches I threw. But I threw so much. I just, out of fear, threw so many punches that he never came back to the gym. Man. And and every time I'd say him, I said, "How come you come back?" "Oh, I've been sick. I've been, whatever." And he got embarrassed that he figured he was just going to beat my little butt up, and it didn't happen. But like from there, I just learned to learn some skills and kept going from there. And but that's how it started. I was just about 10 years old, and I just the love of it. It's an addiction, that we're all stuck to this. It's like drugs. Every time you say, "I had enough," yeah, it really is.
Fast forward from the amateurs from that day, you end up turning pro. You fought at the legendary Blue Horizon.
Yes.
How did you end up being a cut man after your boxing career was over?
Well, my boxing career kind of ended a little early. I blew my knee out in a fight.
Right.
Willie the Worm Monroe was the ref. And he gave me every opportunity I could to make, but I was literally at one point like looking like that rooster that's behind you, that chicken with one leg up in the air, hopping around. And, I blew it out, throwing an overhand left because, I'm a southpaw. And it just, from there, I had to do a lot of rehab, this and that. And they told me, from all the running in the streets and from doing I did a lot of concrete work and cement work my whole life. Even at that young age, they were like, "You need 2 new knees. So come see us in like 30 years. They were like, you got to stop doing something. They said, you got to pick either job. And I said, well, I don't think I could fight forever. I don't even know that I'd make that much money. So, but I didn't want to walk away. And because it kind of was like felt a little lost at that point. It's like every morning you get up, you run 5 miles, then you go to work, then you come home, you go to the gym. It was such a big part of my life, but I didn't want to put a knee brace on and fight bums, just to do it, and I didn't want to stay in the gym working out just to work out because I knew I'd get talked into fighting. And, I thought about it and I'm like, what do I really want to do? I said, all the things I didn't want to do. I said, I don't want to be a promoter. They're always losing money. I don't want to be a gym owner. The gyms don't make any money. I don't want to be a manager. Everybody steals your fighters and this and that. Trainer, I don't know. I said, trainers aren't like fighters aren't like horses. They don't, they talk back. They don't listen. Now, I never listened to myself on all this. I've done all these things, but before I ever turned pro, I had to look back and I thought about this, and I was always kind of hanging around with and getting info from guys like Eddie Aliano and Stan the Cutman, Adolf Rataco. I used to see Adolf. I would sit on a bar stool with him and get info and talk about the fights and cuts. And I'd always had an interest in it. A lot probably had to do with because when I was real young, I was probably 11, 12 years old. I worked in a funeral home.
Okay.
And they were kind of trying to groom me to become a funeral director, but could you imagine me at a funeral home? Hey, how you been? Oh, I guess you've not been too good here.
How was business in the funeral home? Was it dead?
Yeah, people were dying to get in there. Oh, let me tell you. But I had worked a couple of times before I ever even turned pro. The first time I ever worked a fight was for a fighter named Chris the Worm Guest. Mm-hmm. And he was a friend of mine, older than me. And he was at the end of his career, and he took a fight on a last minute notice. And he asked me would I work his corner. And I was like, I said, oh, all right, So I grabbed what I could together to be prepared. And I got a license to work the corner. And I was probably maybe 21 years old. And he got cut. I stopped it. He made it through the fight. And I thought to myself, when I'm done fighting, this is what I want to do. So when I was done fighting, I'm going, the little light bulb in my head went, hey, dummy, you said you wanted to be a cut man, when you were done. Well, you're done. Face facts, move on. Because, that's the thing. When you have knowledge and you have ability having been in it your whole life, you shouldn't just walk away, because we're the people that can pass these things on to the next, and also to help people. As a cut man, I get to help the person who's working in the fight in the corner. So, I had, like I said, I've been getting info from Eddie and Stan and Adolf, and and when I thought I was ready, and they said, you know what, you're going to know when you're ready, and and I've always been confident in anything I've done. I've never done something that I didn't think I could do.
Right.
And I've always put my all in it. No matter what it is, if it's acting, if it's working as a cut man, a promoter, whatever, jumping over cars on a motorcycle. If I thought I could do it, then I did it. And I even was a professional wrestler at one point for a while.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
do
all that stuff.
So and when the time was right, I knew it was right, and I became a cut man. Yeah, became a cut man and hung up my shingle, as they say, and that's got to be 25 years ago, and and more than 25, so I've been doing it this long, and I have to contradict you. You said 7-time cut man of the year.
No, I said 17.
No, it was 15. It was 15.
It was 15.
It was 15. I
gave it up, and they
I gave it. Yeah, I kind of had to say, I had to step aside, because I told Mr. Wilkes, Dave Wilkes, I said, look, this is an honor, whether it was 1 or 100 times. I said, but you know what? It's not fair. Let somebody else get it. And he said, but you get voted every year. Nobody's giving it to. I said, I appreciate it. I really do.
That's why I got 17, because the other 2 times you were up there giving out the Joey I Award.
Yes. Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know. All I said was I'll step aside. And then they said, okay, well, then all of a sudden, they want me to present it. I said, no problem, I'll present the award. I don't care. And then they turn around, I didn't know. They started calling it the Joey I Award. And I said, that's a big honor. Normally that happens when you're dead, but I'm still here. But but all the years, and that's such an honor for people to recognize, the cutmen, because cutmen, we're almost like non-existent in the fights until something bad happens. People go, oh, who was the cutman? Oh, I don't know, or who cares, and
then Joey, you had Eddie the Clock Aliano.
Yes.
And I met him, knew him, was in the corner with him. This man was a celebrity working with Sugar Ray Leonard.
Well, yeah,
he made quite a living.
Yes, took him a long time though. He was very old by the time he was when he got up there to be But he had been playing his stage for a long time. Oh yeah, sure. He got to be the guy that everybody asked for, and that's what I've always tried to. I try to bring it out to be noticed, so that not just to be noticed, but notice that I'm doing a good job. I would never say I'm the greatest or any of that kind of stuff, but I do. I know my business, and I do my business well. And that's I treat every fight like it's the first fight. I treat a back alley brawl no different than it be the championship of the world. And people go, oh, what was it like to be on TV in a fight? None of that means anything to me. You could be 100,000 people in Wembley Stadium, or like I said, in some garage that we're not supposed to be in a bare knuckle fight. None of it's all the same to me. The blood's red, the money's green. I don't care what your record is. I don't care your preferences for who you like, this, that, or not. I don't care. I don't care what color you are. None of that matters. A fighter is a fighter is a fighter. I always say that the rest of the world could take a page out of boxing, because we don't see colors and this, that, like I always say, all blood's red. Everybody, to me, I don't care who you are, what, like I said, and I don't care, like somebody go, oh, I saw you working with that bum. And it's like, well, so what? I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it's the guys that don't have the chance to win or don't have a good record that are might need me more than the prospect over there that's, 20-0. So I don't know that I really, the only time I've ever had to turn anyone down is because the other corner had already asked me to work their corner. That's the only time I've ever had to, Yeah.
And I see you at the fights. I've seen you on television. And you're absolutely right. You treat everyone like he or she is a world champion. You're the
Yeah, you have to.
professional. And people love Joey on.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. I think what I try to treat not just fighters, but people, everyone like that. Somebody just thanked me yesterday. They sent me a message, and I didn't really even know him that well, but he thanked me for. He would come around sometimes on a Monday night. We have what's called the Italian Club, meet in a boxing bar up in Northeast Philly. It's called Jimmy's Timeout Bar, and we'll go there. And, it's all my guys and whatever, but there's some guys that, it's all right if bring a friend. Yeah, no problem. And guy actually thanked me yesterday for saying, because I was such an accepting person and I didn't like judge anyone. And he said, he make everyone feel comfortable. And he said, you must have got that from your parents. I said, well, I probably got it from my father. I said, he always wanted to be everybody's best friend. He always wanted people to like him and be his friend. He didn't want to, say he wasn't the kind of guy, and you had met when my father was alive. You had met him, yeah. And he used to work corners with me and things like that. But yeah, he was just a nice guy always. And I remember as a kid, all my friends wanted my father to be their dad. If we got in trouble, they'd get locked up. They'd say, "Hey, can we all say we're brothers and your dad gets us out? Because our parents are going to kill us. Your dad, And I go, yeah, because my dad wants to be everybody's friend, so he won't get mad at us. I say, but. Yeah, so I know it's not just boxing. Yeah.
Now let me ask this, Joey. What's the most difficult part about being a cut man?
The most difficult part, well, honestly, sometimes it can be getting paid. But I think that's in the whole business. It doesn't single me out. But it can be. It can be hard. That can be hard. Actually, sometimes the hard part is a lot of times I'm working with totally different people all the time. So it's not like I don't work for one team or one fighter. And even certain fighters. Like Cornflake Lamana. I'm the only guy that's been in his corner since he was an amateur. He changes trainers, he changes guys, and it happens for whatever reason. But so every time, even a guy that I'm working with, if he changes, I have to learn to adapt and whatever to those trainers and my most important thing is to stay out of the way until till I'm needed. And keep my mouth shut, and I'm not. My job is to stop the bleeding and bring down the swelling, bring them back to life, not give them advice unless the trainer might say to me, "Hey Joe, what do you think? What do you think? You want to tell them something? But for the most part, that's probably the hardest part is, because I've worked corners with some guys that have been world champion fighters, great fighters. Doesn't mean they could work a corner well, and that's the other thing. Some guys might be great trainers, but that does not make them a good corner man. There's a big difference there, and there's been times I've preferred all by myself. They'll send the guy in. What happened at the Blue Horizon all the time? They'd send the guy in by himself. I'd wind up, wrap his hands, work the whole corner by myself, get him through the fight. And I don't even know him, but give him the simple directions that I'm seeing to give him, and whatever else I need to do with them. But that can be probably the hardest part is getting used to certain people, because some guys, like the head trainer, some of them, they get real I'm in charge and you stay out of here and this, and it's like, okay, I get it, they get nervous for their fighter and this and that, and the ego stuff takes over. But like I said, me, I'm just like, whatever, I'm here, I'll do whatever. Some guys will go, I want to go in on this side. I don't care. You could tell me to stand on top of the rope and fix them.
So dealing with personalities.
Yeah, that's, again, it's like life. You know what I mean? Like working in that corner is like it's like dealing with people in life. You can't deal with everybody exactly the same. Like I say, one kid I put through college, the other one I put through a wall, that kind of thing, But,
now I gotta ask this, man. I heard this rumor years ago that Count Dracula, you were so good at your job that Count Dracula put a hit out on you.
That's right. Yeah, he did. He did.
He go to Transylvania.
Stop anybody. He could bite anybody, and I'd stop it. He didn't like that. And also, you know what else I did once? I I don't know, about 10 years ago, right? I'm able to point and it stops. I pointed right at my wife. She never had a period ever again.
Oh, thank God this is YouTube and not.
Right, huh? Hey, try to I'll be here all week, you know?
Now, let me ask this question. Who's the biggest name you've worked with?
Biggest name.
Champion.
Jackie Frazier.
You worked with Jackie Frazier?
Yes. I did a lot for Jackie. Yeah, I know them very well. I worked with a lot of Marvis's fighters too at the time, so I was always with them. And Val, who just passed away, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a shame. He was a nice guy. I worked with Bruce Seldon. I worked with Tim Witherspoon, Chaz Witherspoon, his son Tim. Yeah, I worked with Bruce.
You worked with Chaz? Oh, man.
Yeah, that's funny how, you know, and it's funny, like Bruce, I've worked with Bruce and his son, and then like with Tim, I worked Tim, Chaz, and Tim's son. So it's like, you know, it's holy. Yeah. And then who else? Ivan Robinson, which was an odd one. We had fought in the amateurs, and he beat me twice. Yeah, he beat me twice, and it was kind of funny too because it was almost like a fight for the name. He says he don't remember it, but I was trying to be Mighty Mouse at the same time. Right, and so he beat me twice. So I went, you know what? I'll just be something else. But he said that, you know, he would never spar with me or nothing, ever do anything ever again. He says to me, which I take this in all, you know, thank you to him. I always tell him, but he says that I'm the hardest hitting lightweight he ever got hit by. You know, not Gaddy, not Chavez. Yeah. And he beat Gotti twice. Yeah. That's what he says. You know, none of these other, he said Chavez didn't even hit him at, you know, and I helped to get him ready for the Chavez fight. And we went and that was a great experience. And it was weird though. It's like, oh wow, you know, some of these guys I've, you know, but there's been guys that I fought that I wound up working their corner. Mikey Rafferty, he made like a comeback. Yeah, he made a comeback and asked me to work his, you know, and I said, okay. And I said, wow, boy, look at my life. I'm falling behind the guy I fought before and I'm carrying the bucket. And I said, but, you know, that's boxing. You know, it's such a small world, but it's a small world. Yeah, but I worked with Chad Dawson. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, but it's funny. Like you're saying, who's the world champions? None of it. I don't keep records in my head. I probably because I get too many jokes stuck in there and things like that, or scripts that I read. But if you told me I worked the guy's corner, it might pop into my head. But if you went, hey, on this date, do you remember working this fight? And I'm like, yeah. Some guys up to me and they'll go, hey, how you been? And I'm looking at them and they'll go, you fixed this cut. And as soon as they show me a cut I fixed, I go, hey, I remember you, you know. So but like I said, it's like I don't look at it like with champions and it's boxing. Like I said, I've worked with, you know, everybody, as they say, everybody and nobody, you know, but everybody is a somebody. So you have to treat everybody, and you got to treat them with respect because they got the balls to get in there. You know, you know what I mean? You don't play boxing, and we've been saying that one forever, but it's true. It's a business. It is a sport. It's not a game, though. You don't play this. You know, in every other sport, you need one ball. In boxing, you need two.
Oh, I got to use that. Now, how many fights, just a rough estimate, have you worked over your 25 or more years?
It's got to be in the thousands. I mean, there was times, think about it, way back in the 90s and early 2000s, even you know, there could be 2 shows a week sometimes, or even one in the middle of the week. And then you know, I drive to like Johnstown and work a fight on a Wednesday or Thursday, then come back, be at the Blue Horizon, or then maybe be down at the or Atlantic City, or the Armory. You know, so it's hard because I should have kept track of all that. I should have wrote it down. And like people ask me how many hands have I wrapped? And because I always laugh and I'd say, you know, I tell a new guy, I go, yeah, you're my millionth and one customer. And you know, it might be true. I've never kept track of any of that. And I've actually got a book now. I started it last year, but it's not filling up because of this pandemic. But I started a book with who I worked, how many rounds, if I wrapped their hands, blah, blah, and all that. So I've been kind of starting to see in 1 year, 1 or 2 years, what it would be. But it honestly, I would say it has to be in the thousands. I mean, like I said, and I've gone all over the world, to work fights. I mean, you name a country, I might have been there, up and down the East Coast, out all over the country. I mean, I've been to goofy places. I mean, places most people don't want to go. Like, who wants to go to Wyoming? You know what I mean? Like, I sure don't want to go back, but, hey, if I had to go there, I got to go.
Wyoming is a wonderful place.
Yeah, it's great. Oof. There was nothing there. Yeah, there's nothing there. But we did.
Let's transition, man. There's so many jobs. At one time, I thought you were Jamaican because you had so many jobs. Cut man, actor, stuntman, wrestler. You ran an auto body shop, mechanic. You name it. I thought Joey I was Jamaican because you had at least 5 jobs.
Yeah, I've had acting. Well, acting. After I was in that Rocky movie, I had always thought to myself too. I was like, wow, that would be great to be an actor. And as I was growing up, and I would see guys that wound up eventually being friends with, like guys like Boom Boom Mancini, who I would see him in movies here and there, and I'm going, wow. And Vito Antuofermo, I see him in The Godfather 3, and I'm going, he just is a guy with a punched-in face. I'm like, and he ain't saying nothing. I could do that. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm perfect, And then I was watching Desperado with Antonio Banderas and the guy Danny Trejo, and he had the big tattoo of a woman on his chest, and he was just this big scary guy. I wound up actually doing a movie with him, but he was one of the people that inspired me. I'm going, I got a ton of tattoos. I'm like, I have my wife's face tattooed on my back like he has on his face. I said, oh my God. And that's how I actually met him on a movie set in Holmesburg Prison. We were filming a movie, and it was called Animal Factory. And it had everybody: Mickey Rourke, Edward Furlong, Willem Dafoe, Tom Arnold. It went, and Danny Trejo was. And Steve Buscemi was the director. And I'm walking around. They had me wearing no shirt the whole time. We were outside, and I got all the tattoos. And they said, "Yo, Joe, little Danny wants to meet you." Steve Buscemi said to me, and I said, "Who's little Danny?" They said, Danny Trejo. I go, Danny Trejo's a big guy. They said, no, he's your size. I said, get out of here. And they brought him over to me. And, he was maybe an inch or two taller than me. And he got the, he's a really cool guy. And we were comparing tattoos. He had the one on his chest. I got it on my back. And they're like, both jailhouse tattoos. And, and we got to talking. He had been in San Quentin and this one and that one. And he had been a boxer. So so all of a sudden I'm at the big table with like all these guys, Mickey Rourke and all these guys, and we're sitting there eating lunch every day, and all the guys that I know that are just the extras are going, look at this asshole. Like, I'm going, I don't know. And they're asking me, they're talking about the movie. They go, how do you think the filming's going? I'm thinking, what the hell do I know? I laid bricks, but I got a few extra bigger part in it with it, and But that's how I was like, that was actually probably one of the first movies I actually did. It was Animal Factory, and which is 20 some years ago. And it was cool. It was a cool experience. And I thought,
how many have you done, Joey?
I've done over 100 films. I've been in over 100 films. Yeah. I've been in films that I don't remember. Like my son, he has a fire stick. And he just punches in my name. He goes, hey, Dad, you were in this, you were in that. I go, I was in Underground Kids.
I hope you're getting royalty checks, Joey.
Yeah. Well, you do, if you have lines in a movie, you do. You get, you'll get, and if they came out and if they ever make any money, yes. I have a few that I have certain things I have executive producers credits on and things like that. And where, if the movie ever made any money, producers get paid.
Let's talk about now another interesting one. Your wrestling career. You were a professional wrestler.
Yeah. After I was done fighting, and somebody had come to me and said, you know, you got to, you would be great for this because you're doing like acting stuff and you're a fighter. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, these guys are giant. They're like, no, this will be perfect. And I'm like, what the heck would I do? You know, and they're like, you got to do it like if you were Rocky. And I'm like, you know what? I never turned anything down once. I said, I'll give it a shot. I said, you know, because at the time, like I said, I was doing some theater and stuff too, some acting and choreographing scenes and stuff in theater. And I thought, you know what? This would be perfect because who better? I can choreograph these fight scenes we're in. You know, now obviously the outcomes are all real, but you sure do get hurt. And the slamming and a lot of these guys, the hitting, you know, and me, you know, I said, all right, I give it a shot, you know. So I dressed up like I was Rocky with the fedora and the gloves with no fingers, the leather jacket, the gray sweatshirt. And instead of being the Italian stallion, I was the Palermo pony.
Okay.
So my father and my uncle dressed up like they were old cornermen with the old cardigan sweaters with my name on the back, and we would come out. And I would wrestle guys, and I'm wrestling, you know, and, you know, I wound up wrestling guys like King Kong, Bundy, Jimmy, Superfly, Snooker, Tony Atlas.
Superfly, Snooker?
Yeah. All these guys were like on the downslide, you know, and it was like, so like I was on the independent circuit. I was one of the first guys to wrestle in CZW. And then so they started me out in battle royals. Now Rocky can't lose, right? So I'm like one of the only wrestlers ever retired undefeated. So, you know, I'd come out, take a beating for a while, get thrown all over the damn place, and then somehow turn it around and I would win. But the first time I wrestled, they would put me in these 20-man battle royals, and they would, you know, say, oh, this guy goes over. Going over means you win. So, you know, so let them do whatever. So the first time, no one taught me anything, nothing. They just threw me in there. And a really giant guy, he was like, it was like something like King Shamrock or something he called himself, right? He was wearing a giant shamrock cape and all in green. He had bushy red hair. Had to be at least 260, 6'2". He jumps in the ring and he shoves me. And he says, oh, you're supposed to be some boxer, huh? Come on, go ahead, hit me. And I said, what? And he goes, go ahead, hit me. I can take it. I said, yeah, give me your best shot. I said, really? He said, yes, all right. I hauled off with a left hand right in his chest for real because I figured, hey, he's a big guy. He said he could take it. That was part of his act. I didn't realize that. He collapsed on the floor, heaving, rolled out of the ring, went in the back, and cried. He literally was crying when the whole match was over, and I went in the back, and he was going, he really hit me. He really. And they're like, Joe, you can't hurt anybody. I'm like, come on, man, I'm 5'2". I'm like 150 pounds these guys got. They're like, they can't take it. And, you know, so everywhere I would go, I got this reputation, Joe, don't hurt anybody. And I'm going, oh, my God. But I would get hurt a lot, though. I mean, I messed up my groin. I tore a nerve in my neck at one point. My neck was I had to go to chiropractic much on my back. You know, you name it, you can hurt it in that. I mean, that sounds like that mat ain't as soft as it is when you're falling down on it, you know, or jumping out of the ring onto a concrete floor.
I know we have 3 minutes left, Joey. I don't know if I should ask this one. I heard a story, you know, I don't know how true it is, that there's a certain famous person who worked for the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission that will remain nameless, that thought he could wrestle you and ended up on the ground in a hole that he couldn't get out of.
Yeah, well, that happens. Yeah. It was, I guess, somebody just trying to act too tough, figuring that maybe I didn't know how to wrestle. But I wrestled in high school and I pro wrestled.
But somebody told me this person once wrestled under the moniker Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Olympic alternate, all that stuff. But you know, it turned out, you know, a verbal argument or whatever you want to call it, and just got up and ran out wearing a sweatsuit. I was wearing a leather sport coat, all dressed up, sunglasses, my toothpick, my hair's combed. He tried to take me down, and I wasn't having that.
Someone said it was the executive director. I mean,
you might be right. You might be right. Yeah. And
I never knew that.
yeah, we went up and down a few minutes, and the minute I put my hands up like I was going to box, he
I heard the rumor.
Yeah, and I took him, got him in a guillotine, basically, and in a headlock, and hit the floor and just choked him till they made me get off him, But yeah.
Well, that's part of life.
It is part of life, and the thing is you never know who you're running into. Not that I'm so guy or anything, but I think he thought he was just going to twist me up in a pretzel and make a joke of it, but
it's over, man.
The joke.
Left. We're wrapping up. Joey, there's been a great conversation. You're a Philly legend, man. I'm glad you came.
Thank you, George.
From Italy to Philadelphia.
I hope I see you. I hope I see you at the Atlantic City Hall of Fame this year. When I'm going in, I'm being inducted in the Atlantic City Hall of Fame this year. So I hope you come down.
You will be inducted this year.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Joey.
Yeah, along with
the Pennsylvania Boxing Hall of
Fame. Yeah, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the old Atlantic City one. I'm in the old AC All Stars Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah, the Atlantic, New Jersey Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, and now this one. And in 2019, I was enshrined in the Philadelphia Italian Immigrant Museum. That's right across from the Joey Giardella statue, which is incredible. If you go in there, go for the tour. They got all my stuff on the wall. All my Hall of Fame stuff is in there. All my old trunks are up there. Me working corners, movie stuff. It was really a big honor. But yeah, it's always an honor when people recognize what you do and that you do a good job.
Well, thank you, my brother. I know this is about to cut off. It's good talking to you. Have a good one. We'll continue this conversation. And when you're writing the Joey I story, give me a call. I would love to be co-author because
you're definitely. I was doing it. Yeah. You let me know when you're ready. All right. Thank you. All right, Chicken Man.